Don't go anywhere. James McQuiggan, thanks for the jokes. Don't go anywhere. We got Cyber Career Hotline. I'm going to do a hot transfer. Guys, if you got a boogie out of here, you probably already did. Thanks so very much. You guys are the best. Let's go have some fun doing Cyber Career Hotline. We've got a great panel lined up for you. I'm Jerry, your chat. Till next time, stay secure.
I'm Dr. Gerald Osher. This is the Cyber Career Hotline. If you're building a career in cybersecurity, this show is for you. Let's get into it.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the party. We got to just do this really quickly. We got our panel loaded up. Let me change my camera angle so we can do this. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cyber Career Hotline. I am your host, Jerry Guy. Since we'll be doing a panel today, I will just be facilitating Justin Gold with 50 months as a squad member. Jesus, dude. Justin, longtime friend. Love it. All right, let's get our panel locked. Let's get our panel locked in. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a full boat for you today. Talk about the Carnival Cruise Lines attack. We've got the full boat. Ladies and gentlemen, he comes from Appalachia. He's also a pretty cool dude doing a lot for the community. Ladies and gentlemen, Fleet is posting the third. What's up, dude?
Happy Friday, everyone.
Great to see you. All right, who else we got? Oh, coming to you live on the road from Dallas at Elevate IT. James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet.
Sorry, just wiping away the tears from laughing so hard at the mid-roll.
Oh yeah, those jokes were good.
Your reactions is what makes it for me, Jerry. That's the whole purpose of it.
Well, I do it as a service. I do not look at those jokes in advance. When I get the text from you on Friday night, it's Thursday night. It's always like, ooh, all right. All right, you guys. Robert Wetstein, a regular on the panel. Good to see you, Bowtie Security Guy. Let's go.
Hey, what's going on, Jerry?
All right, and then if you caught the first half of Simply Cyber Firesides last night, you would know who he is. But if you didn't, he is cyber threat intelligence expert and had to leave mid-show yesterday. Wade Wells. Hey, Wade, what's up, dude?
What's up? Hopefully I don't have to leave mid-show today, too, but who knows?
That's all right.
Hope everything was all right.
Parenting life.
Not you leaving, but when you left, we ended up like raffling off a bunch of prizes and having some fun. All right, guys. So here is the deal. We've got an amazing panel of very talented individuals. Robert, executive in kind of the C-suite area, as well as tinkerer, former red teamer, hacker. Fleet is posting the third, worked in a SOC, builds his own program. James McQuiggan over on the end there, VCSO, awareness training expert, behavior modifier. Wade Wells, cyber threat intelligence extraordinaire, and me, Jerry Guy, just a GRC dork trying to make his way in the world. So if you have any questions, drop them in chat with a Q. We will facilitate them to you as best we can. One of the stories that came up today, worth getting your thoughts on, was it wasn't even really a cyber story, but the U.S. military personnel threat actors are weaponizing location data from ad networks in order to find populations of military. Was anyone in this group active military at one point? No, I don't think we are. Wasn't sure. Okay. Robert, have you done anything with location-based data? I feel like you, of all people, tinkered with it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's been a lot of attacks like this. There was a popular fitness app that was utilized to identify military bases a while back. I won't call the name out, but that's a pretty common attack vector. And there's been multiple times where I've built geofences around locations to ensure that, like, if devices left, they would be destroyed. But using your geo data to identify targets is just kind of common OSINT to me. I've done it many times where back in the day, photos when they were posted online still had their metadata in them, so you could find out you could find out damn near the exact location that the photo was taken. And now most of social media strips the metadata before a photo goes live.
Yeah, 100%. So some good OSINT work in there. Everybody enjoys some good OSINT. Wade, you were talking yesterday on Firesides about your cyber threat intelligence course and some of the OSINT type stuff that you've included in that course. Can you talk about how OSINT relates to cyber threat intelligence?
Oh, yeah. Man, I had to do some yesterday, too. After what I had to handle. A lot of it is just being able to search really, really good, but not just like Google searching, but knowing what data and what to pivot to. So one of my favorite examples is with any type of login you see out there, you could theoretically, if there's an image on that login, you could take a hash of that image and then search that hash in urlscan.io and then look to see what websites actually contain that hash. And if they've been scanned, it'll show you every website that it has. So for companies who have logos on their official logins, that's gold, because then you can find people who are trying to fish your customers, right? That's like one piece of it. But going down, like, right, there's infrastructure OSINT, which is looking for malicious infrastructure, or possibly, if you're red teaming, a actual legitimate infrastructure. There's people. How do you find people? And then the last one I would say is geolocations, right? Seeing a picture of a geolocation and being able to figure out where it is, or even when it is. Each one of them holds around the same type of skills that you need, but very differently.
Excellent. Yeah. And even during that Flare training I did yesterday with DNS and passive OSINT, passive DNS reconnaissance, they were talking about getting addresses and then going and looking at them online to see like what is actually there, if anything. Roswell UK, and thank you for the questions. I've been flagging them. Escol07 will do your question next. Roswell says, what's the most satisfying investigation or hunt you've ever done? Ooh, that's a fun one. I'll throw that one. I know Wade just talked, but Wade actively does hunts. So Wade, is there anything you can talk about publicly?
When I won the Trace Labs Black Badge, that was probably the best one. We were able to find someone who was on a missing person list and then prove that they were actually alive and well and just in another city.
I love it. James McQuiggan, you've got one for this too?
Yeah, my cousin has a fraud investigation company. Shameless plug. Hello to Quilligins. But one of the investigations she pulled me in to help her with OSINT work dealt with a domestic dispute, we'll say, where the woman was claiming that she'd been beaten by her husband, but then was out the next day gallivanting around town, and she looked just fine, and they had pictures of her and everything else. But my job was to go in and verify the authenticity of those images, find out who the photographer was. And so doing image analysis, OSINT work, looking at where the locations were and everything else, basically handed it back that the wife was lying about it on several occasions. It just wasn't the one occasion. And ended up helping out the husband win their case. By the way, the husband's name was Johnny Depp. So there you go.
Well, there you go. I like it. Robert, you got one too? I didn't realize we were going to be able to go around the horn on this one.
Yeah, there was an investigation that I worked for a very long time where an insider was releasing basically behind the scenes photos in ruining kind of some of the things that we didn't want people to see. And they had posted a photo while they were in line somewhere complaining about the wait. And it just so happened that we had access to those cameras. We were able to pull the plate number off of the front car and then identify their car. And that led to them being removed from the company. And we'd been tracking that person for probably 2.5 months trying to find their identity. It was an all hands type thing. It was a very fun. Every photo that was posted, I was looking for reflections, anything I could see where the behind the scenes photos were being taken. If I could figure out who it was a fun time.
That is very cool. Fleetus has got one. Fleetus, share.
Yeah, similar to there's I helped with an HR case where we were trying to confirm that someone was having someone else badge them in. So they were having a colleague clock them in. They were still in their car, still driving. They wanted to be paid for their time. So they would give their badge or their PIN number. We had both for them to start logging in. And all of a sudden one day they required geofencing to the point that they needed to see the badge. They needed to look for NFC to be close by. And all of a sudden he couldn't clock in anymore. He raised an HR case, which pretty much gave himself away. And we confirmed that he had been doing it for almost 2 years. He'd probably got close to 1,000 hours of travel time paid for that he should not have been paid for. So it was a civil suit added to that as well.
That is wild. I have one. It's not my story per se, and I'm not going to be able to disclose all of the information, but it is one of the coolest hunts I've ever seen. I have a friend who runs a investigation agency, and basically there was a Instagram model that was running a scam where like basically they get into your DMs and then they start extorting money from you, or they're gonna tell your spouse or whatever what's up. And this investigator got brought in on it, and he basically set up a sock puppet account and was able to connect with that person and then get the scam start running on himself. But then once he got like, where do I send the money? I'll send you $1,000 if you leave me alone. Where do I send the money? And once he got that it wasn't even a wallet, it was like a Venmo or something. Once he got that, he was able to back into that and then explore the entire network of all the transactions and all the things. And he uncovered like the people involved. And then he went further and got their phone numbers and their home addresses. And then he in the DMs, he sent like a picture of their front door and was like, should I send you the money or should I just come to your house? And they're like, ah! Like, they're just absolutely, he's like, all right, you're going to shut down this entire thing. And they're like, whoa. So very, very cool use of that type of technique. Escol07 says, how do I set boundaries early when starting a new job? All right, so we've got some great talent here. Fleetus, I know, Robert, you've got some thoughts on this one, but Fleetus, you've got a team of people underneath you. You help people all the time. What do you tell Escol07? By the way, I don't know if you guys were here, but he announced on stream this week that he got a job and we celebrated and it was awesome. So, yep.
Yeah, so this is a hard but easy question at the same time. So hard, first you have to understand what the organization's expectations are. Is this a fully on site? Is this an 8 to 5 but in seat? Is this I'm available after hours? What is the expectation after hours? Once you've level set all that with your leadership as well as their leadership. And when I say both their leadership, I have a case in point where an executive decided this past week to start reaching out and asking questions because it had not been communicated all the way up that individuals have a work from home on certain days or have the flexibility to do certain things. So make sure you get stuff in writing. So if and when your manager leaves, you have something to stand on. If you have a flex schedule, you have the ability to disappear for kids' appointments, PTA meetings, etc. Get it in writing. Second, be open with your boss and your team. I'm unavailable between 3 and 4 because I'm picking up my kid from school. I will not be in front of my computer. After 4 o'clock, I'm back in front of my computer. But let them know that if something's escalated, you're actually away. And you've set that up, especially if you're a remote employee. Other things too, if you're in the office, let them know your expectations. I take a lunch, and this is why I take a lunch. Don't abuse my lunch hour unless it's required. So that gets very tricky real quickly. My team knows that I take roughly my lunch hour to spend it with my kids. I call my interns. They know that I'm not going to be at my computer no matter what they ask so that I can be away. But they have the capability of calling me if they need to, but I'm not going to be sitting and approving their PIM requests, their multi-admin approvals. I'm not going to be able to do some activities between 12 p.m. and 1 Eastern. I have an international team or a national team. So I have to set that expectation. So again, I'm long-winded. The TRD is set expectations, get them in writing, and then confirm them periodically during developmental meetings, one-on-ones, or your performance reviews.
Oh man, that's Escol07. I hope you got all of that. I mean, that was great information. Robert, do you have any follow-up thoughts?
I mean, that's the biggest thing is just be open and honest and protect your mental health over everything. The burnout culture in cyber is dying, and we have to continue to kill it because well-rested investigators, well-rested cyber people are drastically better and more prepared for what's coming than overworked, overstimulated. That's the biggest thing is we have to get better at protecting our people's mental health and making that a priority.
I love it. Yep. James, you want to comment on this one? The questions are kind of thin today, so we have opportunity to go around the horn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I agree. Exactly what Fleetus and Robert have been saying. I think, and from my own experience, a lot of it is setting the expectations, having that work balance. You work so you can live. You don't live so you can work. But at the end, with burnout, that's certainly something you want to be avoiding. Setting the expectations, having the conversations. If you got to go do something, we all have lives. So yeah, I would certainly echoing what Robert and Fleetus have already said. The coffee hasn't fully kicked in yet. My coffee's a little better tasting this morning, Jerry. It's from the in-room coffee maker, but it's not so bad this morning.
Oh, I love it. Esco07. One thing that's very tricky to navigate too is sometimes you come in and you're supposed to be whatever, a GRC analyst. Okay. I can't remember quite now what the role is you got, but and they're like, oh, like we also need someone to do like, EHR provisioning. So you're going to do that now. And like, you're like, okay, like you don't want to be like, no, because you don't want to look like a thorn in anyone's side. But at the same time, your scope of responsibility could be expanding beyond what you actually committed to when you took the job. Now, if that additional responsibility is professional development in a way, right? Like you're doing something that could help you, that's outside your job scope or get you to the next level. Well, then that's awesome and fine. But if it's perpendicular to what you want to do, if it's making you unhappy or whatever, there is a way to have that conversation with your boss. I wouldn't stamp my foot down and be like, this isn't in my job description, I'm not doing it, because that's going to be seen as not a team player, right? But I think during your one-on-ones and stuff, you can say, hey, like, just so you know, like, you got me doing this other thing, which is really doesn't feel like necessarily in the scope of the job role that y'all hired me for. Is like, what's the long-term plan for this? Like, are we looking to get someone else to do this? So be collaborative in trying to navigate that function away from you. Don't be combative. Okay. So collaborative over combative. That's my move. All right. I think you get more with sugar than you do with vinegar. Right. So if you might be right and they may be exploiting you, but like, going with the nuclear option isn't always the best, even if you are right. All right. All right, so continuing to look through chat. If you got any questions, drop them in chat with a Q. I haven't read this one yet, but Lemur says, morning legends, love it. For CISP, do you think that the official ISC2 training is required, or can the $19 course on a popular platform work? Won't name the job. So, I'll say I got my CISP in 2009. I did not use the official ISC squared at the time. Training, I did, I think, Mike Myers' passport to CISP, and I did flashcards, and it worked for me. I think of all of the certs, I think the ISC 2 and the CompTIA, you can use other materials and it'll work for you. Again, maybe they've changed the exam a bit since then. I don't know, but looks like we've got a consensus. James, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to how do you study? How do you learn? For me, I was somebody that my butt had to be in a seat in a classroom environment so I could properly focus. And I did a 5-day boot camp and took the exam at the end. The Mike Myers book, yeah, I mean, back in 2008 when I took my CISSP, that was the book that I pretty well knew cover to cover. And then I had 2 other books to back it up. So if you're somebody that, you can watch videos and you can ingest the information and know it, then sure. There's no rule or there's no requirement that you have to do the ISC2 training. But there are other training companies that are out there that do the 5-day boot camp. But again, it comes down to what your learning style is, and then working towards that. The ISC2 training is good. I will state that because I'm actually working to become an ISC2 trainer, and I've been going through the materials myself. But just what's your budget, what's your learning style, what's going to work best for you. For some folks, it's 3 books, 5 books, and flashcards. Other folks, it's sitting in a class. Other ones, it's auditory books. So, yeah.
Cyberlorian has a question for Robert. So I got an email last Friday for the differ consultant role, and then they added a final to the final round for Wednesday. Yesterday, I got an email to schedule a one-on-one today. Is this a good sign?
No, yeah, I mean, that's an excellent sign, especially if the one-on-ones with like a senior leader. You're not going to meet with any senior leaders unless you're in the final running. And honestly, just make sure you research the company really well. And there are a lot of scams that have been very advanced. If you want to send it to me on LinkedIn, like, I'm happy to help you research it a little bit. I've had a few mentees that have gone through several rounds of interviews with a company that wasn't even real. I'm not saying that that is the case. I'm just saying be very cautious, especially unless you're doing it in person. If you are, then awesome. That, you know, that kind of alleviates that concern. But yeah, that's a great sign. The biggest thing is take every interview as if it's your first interview. Don't think about it as, don't look back. When you finish a round, you just kind of move to the next one and call it. Don't look back and don't be like, oh, I've already answered this, so I'm going to try to answer it differently. Just answer it the same way you answered it last time. It's a totally different person. There's no reason to kind of get in your head about it.
Mad Hat says, as a student, what are the steps I should be taking now if I eventually want to pursue a position that needs a DoD clearance? I mean, I like to facilitate the panels. I had a DoD clearance. So does anyone else on the panel have one?
I had secret back in the day, not DoD.
Yeah, secret here. Okay. Well, I mean, Robert, do you want to answer this then? Or?
Yeah. So right now, I think that's a lofty goal. There are a lot of people with clearance who are trying to find opportunities with all the furloughs and things that have happened, as well as all of the churn that's happening within that. So if you're looking at like a 3 to 5 year plan, biggest and most important thing is be really intelligent about everything you put online. Be very mindful about everything you do. Be mindful about the friends you have. When you go for any sort of clearance, they will call your friends. They will talk to your neighbors. Depending on the level of clearance, it's very weird. So be mindful of who you associate with, because there are lots of reasons you can get denied clearance. And most of the time the companies are willing to pay for it, but I think it's gonna be harder in the future to get companies willing to pay for it, because I think they're gonna look specifically for people who maybe had just lost clearance or are looking to renew clearance. I don't think there'll be a big focus on new people with DoD clearance. I will tell you, when applying for government jobs, if you meet all of the requirements and it is a government paid position, many times they do have to actually interview you. So the whole concern about ATS and things of that nature does get eliminated a little bit. So you have some more flexibility there. So anytime I mentor somebody who has clearance, I'm like, are you applying for every .gov job that is being posted that you meet their qualifications for? If you aren't, you should be, because they legally have to interview you if you meet the requirements if they're government funded.
Yeah, I was going to add that. So once you get there, and a lot of your certifications, going back to that questions, will tell you which DoD requirement they meet. So if you're looking for government jobs, go pay attention to their job postings. Is it a Sec Plus? Do you need the CYSA? Because they've started mapping certifications back to their DoD requirements. So that's another way to make sure that you're ready, is by getting those courses so that you're compliant to actually get your certification and to work in that role, because they require certain certifications for some of those DoD roles.
Yeah. And just, you know, I don't know if Robert said it specifically, but I mean, I had a secret clearance for a number of years. It sounds cool. It sounds sexy. I had anxiety the entire friggin' time I had it. I hated having it because I thought everybody was trying to like compromise me. Like, hey,
you do get in your head about it. I'm not gonna lie, and you're so worried too as they're like talking to people, and the questions they ask are just wild. It's like, has this person ever had any anti-American sentiment? It's like, how do you even answer that? You know.
So that, I want to take that real quick. I had two former recently, and I was literally sitting by the pool when I got the call from the Secret Service agent, and my wife's like, "Why are you answering these questions?" Because she only heard me answer the questions. And I'm using terms like, no, they've never showed any terrorist activity. They've never showed anything about this. And she's like, you're sitting in a public place answering this federal agent's questions because they're screening this person. And she's like, who did you just talk to? I was like, oh, I was on with a special agent for the FBI. And she's like, why? I'm like, I have someone who's applying for a government clearance and a government job, and they're interviewing me. And it's like, it's awkward for me too. I'm like, do I screw the person over because I stuttered? Did I slow down too much? Did I speak too quickly?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. I will tell you, I got interviewed by a federal investigator, like in person for my clearance, and they don't want to hear about how awesome you are. Like, you just talk about the worst things you've ever done.
Yep.
And I felt awful when I left that meeting. I mean, not that I thought I wasn't going to get the clearance, but like, it's just, I've done some dumb stuff in my life, and just like, that's all they want to talk about.
Yeah, and be open and honest with all the dumb stuff you've done, because they will find it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They already know the answer. They just want you to confirm the answer. They already know the answer.
They're doing an integrity test at that point. I had an in-person also, and it was awkward.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah. All right. If an employer is willing to pay for training and cert, is it a red flag that they have you sign a 2-year contract and reimburse the cost you over those 2 years? They won't pay up front.
Oh.
Oh.
I can answer this one because I see it all the time. This is a very common tactic for a place that's most likely going to be a relatively toxic environment. And they are doing it specifically to lock you into contracts. There are some steep penalties too. I had one mentee who tried to leave before 2 years and owed $20,000. The certs only cost $7,000. So read the fine print before you sign anything. If you have no options, then I would say, yeah, it's probably a red flag, but it is, you may get some good experience. But what I've seen recently with these type of jobs is they'll hire someone in for a cyber role, and then you'll just be doing desktop tech support, and then they'll pay for your certs, and then they basically lock you in for 2 years and basically make it so you cannot leave no matter how bad it gets. That's in my experience, and I've seen it probably 30 or 40 times over the last year.
I will give a one caveat. In a lot of states now, that's illegal. So work with an attorney real quickly when that comes up. There's clauses to protect you from this inside of employment agreements for a lot of the states, especially if you're out in California. I think Maine, to Jerry's point earlier, has a lot of friendly stuff. Denver definitely does, or the Colorado state will protect the employee. So if you work in some of these states, go look up your labor laws for that state. It's illegal for them to do this in certain states. Not everywhere, but it's illegal in certain states to put these contractual agreements around what's considered job training. Just make sure that you look at the agreement and you have an attorney if you have questions.
Yeah. And I would also say, if it's reputable, they should have a policy. Like, there should be a written, documented policy on how this all works. And if it's a shady AF policy and it says like, we will absolutely hoodwink you and own your firstborn if you take this, then guess what? It's a benefit you just don't take advantage of, right? You don't, if they force you to go to the training and then financially commit you, that sounds incredibly illegal.
That is the normal. Yeah.
So that's a problem, but just read the policy. And, some places it can be good. I had my PhD paid for fully, right? And, I had to, like, basically the way it worked for me was every month it burned off like $800 of the benefit I had gotten, right? So like they cut me a check for whatever, like 12,000 or whatever. And then every month it was 800. And if I left a year in, I just owed the delta of remaining money. So there are programs that are not predatory. Lazaro, I love Lazaro. He's our token superstar story for going from breaking in. Good morning, Team SC panel. Which cert would you recommend between Blue Team Level 2 and CCDL 2? My focus is to better improve my threat hunting and differ skills. Thank you. Now, I know Blue Team Level 2.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know CCDL 2. I don't.
Yeah,
I'd have
I had to go look it up. Certified Cyber Defender Level 2. I don't know who puts it out, but yeah.
Let me look here. It's by Cyber Defenders.
Cyber Defenders, yeah. Okay.
I'll take this while they're looking at it. There's not a whole lot from a certification. Again, there are small training firms that you can get certs, but as a hiring manager, I'm not going to look for certifications for these two things other than like for the DFIR side, if you've got an NK certification, so I can know you know how to use NK. So if you've done a Celebrate certification because you know how to do mobile forensics, those will get me. The threat hunting piece, I'm going to assume you got that through other training mechanisms. So I'm going to look at what other trainings you've taken or certifications where threat hunting is part of it. If Wade was here, there probably is something. I know anti-siphoning has some stuff around this. I've seen Level Effect, which I work with, shameless plug. And then, of course, SANS has their own entire DFIR and threat hunting program on the CTI. But I'm not going to force you to go for a SANS cert, especially if you're self-funding. And you're not paying the 10 grand a pop. And I'm not going to ask you to go out to mom and pop, nothing against these training organizations, because as a hiring manager, I don't know who they are. So, like, it's going to make it hard. Going back to the ATS, your application tracking system, they're going to screen you out because it doesn't rate up anything because they don't know about it. And as an HM or hiring manager, unless I am a DFIR person, I'm not going to recognize Celebrate or Encase. I'm going to have to rely on my SME to tell me that that's a qualified certification. I know these two because I've hired DFIR individuals and I've hired CTI folks. So
I looked quickly at both of these, curriculum. I agree with what the panel just said about the value of the cert. Now, what I'm about to comment on is the value of the education and learning experience that you would pick up by going through the program, not just getting the cert. So you want to be threat hunting, you want to be DFIR skill set. It looks like both of these are kind of comparable to each other as far as like what they're doing and everything. The blue team level 2 does look like it gets into DFIR more than, the CCDL 2 goes into DFIR more than the blue team level 2. The blue team level 2 does go into malware analysis quite a bit, which is a subset of DFIR, but not exclusively all of that. So I think you're going to be okay with either one. What I would do, like if it were me, right, and I was like, sheesh, I want to get into DFIR, I want to get into threat hunting, I need to know, what I would do is the following. You're already doing kind of part of it by asking this question to this panel. But what I would do is I would search on LinkedIn. This is an awesome opportunity to use the LinkedIn trick that I made a video about, Lazaro, where you can download your entire LinkedIn portfolio of history and throw it into AI, which I'm okay doing, by the way. You have to make your own choice around privacy and sensitivity, but you can throw it in there. And then you could literally ask AI, who in my network has CCDL2? Who in my network has blue team level 2? That's a first level connection with me that I have some type of rapport with. The AI will go through it and tell you, and then just DM that person. You might even find someone who has both, and you DM them and say, hey, listen, I see you got these. I want to do this. Tell me which one should I do? Because you're going to get someone who's done it. They know the quality of the program. They know the value of the skills and the applicability to the actual job. That's going to be your best bet. It's work, Lazaro, for sure, to do what I just said. But if you want the high fidelity answer to this question, that's what I would do. Okay. Pocket Pixel straight out the gate. How long does it take to become a network engineer? Pocket Pixel, you're about to get the most consultant answer ever. James.
It depends.
Yes. Very much depends. So
it very much.
You want to help Pocket Pixel out here? On please first explain why it depends and then try to answer it for her.
Sure. So how long it takes to become a network engineer, first of all, got to figure out, okay, where's our starting point? Where's our end point? Is that end point when you're actually working as a network engineer? Is that level 1? Is it level 2? What type of level? So if we take level 1, just an entry level network engineer, and you're not a network engineer and you're not in networking, it's a matter of having to go through and understand all aspects of networking, of the technology, the processes, understanding how the communication works across networking, going through and learning that, then trying to get hired as a network engineer. Well, then maybe there's some certs involved. Network Plus, the ISSP, well, probably not, but network, whatever certs that are out there to help you with,
CCNA.
Networking. CCNA, thank you, the Cisco cert. CCNP, the professional version of it.
A tough test.
Yeah. Didn't do that one, but and then once you're going through the networking aspects and getting certs, then getting hired, and what does that involve? So you might be able to turn around and do it in a couple months, might be able to do it in a couple years, but it all depends on what you're putting into it, what kind of opportunities you've got, strong is your network to be able to get you a position in networking.
All right. Thank you very much. And Pocket Pixel, get after it. I will tell you, any work you do towards becoming a network engineer will not be squandered if you pivot, because understanding networking is very, very important to being a effective cybersecurity professional if you end up continuing down that path.
Critical for every role that you have, no matter what it is.
Yeah. Seems to be a trend in interviews for them to ask, tell me what's not in your CV. Wait, what? Why? And what would be a good answer? Okay. So, wow, the panel is all smiles. Robert, you go first, since you grill people all the time and take interviews.
Yeah, so that question is kind of a how stupid are you question. And what are you going to tell me? So I always would do something like, what's not in my CVE is a lot of the stuff I do in my free time, which is a lot of the work with mentoring and, doing things. And I would talk about something positive that I do. What a lot of people do with this question, they go, well, it doesn't talk about the fact that I've been laid off and fired twice. Like, it's kind of a how foolish are you question. So relate it back to something that you do, or make it more personal and say, like, oh, I mean, obviously I wouldn't put things in my CVE that were personal, but I love hiking, and get more kind of, comfortable with your interviewer. Really look at how the conversation is going. Hopefully you've done a little OSINT on your interviewer first. I always do a little slight sleuthing to figure out kind of who you're interviewing with, what they're passionate about. And I would kind of steer the direction to there.
Yep.
and it's sad, but true. An interviewer it's not about your technical skills. It's about how well your team fit is. I can teach you technical. And I bet you Fleetus will agree. Like, I would hire somebody with less technical that's more a team fit than I would somebody that's like max on the technical scale, but wouldn't be a great team fit. What are your thoughts, Fleetus?
So I completely get that. And this is going to hurt some people's feeling. I don't want you to be the SME sometimes, because I have to retrain you into how my organization does things. And I hate to say that out loud, because the most qualified person is probably not always the best fit, because to the point is, I have to do a cultural fit first. Can I manage you? Can you mesh with my team? Will you get along with my peers? Will you get along with the business, especially if you're facing the business? Like, if I have to push you into the business, you have to interact with the business. Sorry for the extrovert who looks at their shoes versus my shoes when they're talking. It's fine. But at the end of the day, I have to be comfortable pushing you to go talk to a C-level or a finance person or a marketing person. And if you're purely technical and you have no soft skills, communication skills, you might not be the best fit if the role requires you that. If the role requires you to sit behind a keyboard and a screen all day long with your camera off, that's a different role. So to the point of this question, I will not ask this question. I ask them, how do they disconnect? Because that's how I'm going about this. How do you disconnect? How do you train yourself? How do you get rejuvenation? How do you decrease burnout? Because that's more or less what I think they should be asking with this question, but they may not be. They may want to see if you're dumb enough to share something.
Yeah, keep in mind, most people don't know how to interview. I'm going to ask you a question, Fleetus. How often are you hiring someone who has no public facing and absolutely no soft skills required? How often does that happen? I haven't done it in years.
I have had to interview one recently because we literally hired them to do a project where they weren't going to talk to anyone but me. Like, their deliverable was to produce evidence and give me something that I could deploy. So they were more or less building a program and project, and I was their client. They were here to interview me, get information from me. But other than that, no, I think I did make them present, but they made them present to but they weren't required to. Like, I wanted them to present to me, my CISO, my CIO, my CTO. Yeah. I put them in front of the people who are going to be paying for said program that I hired them to build, because I wanted buy-in before I sign that check and say, hey, I just gave you $200,000 to build this. What am I going to do? So,
I love it. I also, like, for those who know me long enough, like, I get perturbed about the most nuanced things. This pisses me off. Like F you. You asked me for a resume and I gave it to you, and now you're going to ask me what's not on it? Just like, why didn't you say included in the first place? Jackwagon. I do like Fleetus asking like, how do you unplug and stuff like that.
Yep.
I would say if you want like a pro tip or whatever, for me, when they say what's not on your resume, I would even include like when they say, tell me about yourself, the same thing that Robert has said in the past. Like, sure, I like hiking and I love the New England Patriots and all that stuff, but like you have an opportunity right here and you have an opportunity to seize. Sure, it's cool that you like the Patriots or whatever, but what you could say you're interviewing for a SOC Analyst 1 job. Tell me something that's not on your CV. Well, I'm really interested in pursuing digital forensics and incident response. Ultimately, that's my goal. And I really feel like SOC Analyst is the path to get me there. So like your resume doesn't say anything about differ. Like you're not like aspiring differ, but now you're telling them you've got a plan. You have like an idea of where you want to go, which shows initiative. It tells them that like, oh shit, like we actually could be building into a digital forensic program. Like that's a nice to have that we've never had. This could be the guy or the lady that we could groom into that role. So you're giving you like your succession path and you're being genuine, right? I don't lie and be like, I really want to get into differ, like where you have no interest in that in order to secure the role. But like, I'm just saying it's an opportunity to like, you know, I guess like not manipulate the conversation, but to focus it in a direction that will benefit you.
Yeah. Another thing real quick to the point we just talked about earlier is this is a great time to use that OSINT you just did to social engineer the interviewer into liking you.
100%.
If you can share something like, hey, I love helping with youth sports, and you know that they coach the youth sport team. You just pretty much did an association within the first 5 to 10 seconds of an interview that I now have something in common with you, which is a hiring misnomer. I'm not supposed to have anything in common. I don't want to have a hiring bias where I hire someone who's like me. They train you that in 101 when you're hiring as a leader to immediately dismiss that. But I'm human. If you can associate with me, you just got to point subconsciously with me because I associate with you.
Yeah. I interview with my camera off specifically so I can derail the interview and talk about the room.
I do want to, I have done like one dark arts move once in my career that I feel like is worth sharing at this time, plus and being fully transparent. So when I got my job at Booz Allen, 1,000 years ago, the way Booz Allen did interviews at the time was you'd go for 1 2-hour session. You'd interview for 4 people, 30 minutes each. And that was it. And you either got the job or you didn't, which by the way, thank you for a interviewing practice that makes sense. Where it's just a 2-hour window. I knew who the 4 interviewers were. I did a little bit of OSINT on them. I also had friends that worked at Booz at the time. So I got a little bit of like insider intel. And one of the 4 interviewers was this absolute narcissistic, self-entitled blowhard who was like all about himself and thought he was better than everybody. And he just sucked. And I knew that I needed all 4 of these people to like me. And I just knew that if I tried to like go trait for trait or value for value with this guy, he was going to try to one up me every time. And if I beat him, if I won, he was going to look at me negatively. So literally, I know it's a 30-minute capped meeting. He was very big into cloud security. This is like 2009, 2010. So like cloud was just kind of coming on. And he's like, all right, so, I see you got these degrees. I said, yeah, I really do. You know, the interesting thing is I did all this computer science work, but one emerging area that's just really, really stunning me right now is cloud. And he's like, oh, I know a lot about cloud. I'm like, really? Tell me more about that. And this trucker spoke for 30 minutes about how awesome he is. And then the next interview knocked on the door and he's like, oh, he's like, wow. He's like, I can't believe how fast that was. He's like, I'm really sorry we didn't get a chance to talk more about you. I'm like, oh no, dude, this was amazing. I just learned so much. Like, thank you. That guy walked out of there. He's like, we got to hire this guy. This guy's
Stroking the ego.
Yeah,
Stroking that ego.
When you're interviewing, they're not your friends. Like,
correct. Right.
And if you need to use a little bit of deception to get an opportunity, I'm not saying actively lie, but like talk about what they're passionate about, because it really helps you in the interview process.
Yeah.
If we nerd out about games for 20 minutes, I'm probably not going to worry about the rest.
And that just reiterates the fact that people don't know how to interview, because in an interview, I'm supposed to ask one question and shut up. Like, I'm not supposed to talk. I'm not supposed to talk in that interview. I'm supposed to answer your questions. And then when you ask me a question, do I have the opportunity to talk? And that's usually in the last 3 to 7 minutes of an interview. That's all it's supposed, 3 to 7 minutes.
Most people
should be speaking.
Yeah, most people just don't know how to interview at all. So you got to understand, leadership doesn't come with training. You're like, hey, you're really technical. Now you're a leader. And then it's like, okay, I have no real soft skills because I'm a super technical guy. Oh, and then you need to interview people. And it's difficult because they don't know how to interview. So the first thing they do is they go into ChatGPT. What question should I ask? And I will tell you, if you want to get the leg up, type in the job that you're looking for, type in common interview questions, and I guarantee you, and this has consistently been proven, at least 40% of the questions will be asked. Like you will know half of the interview before you even go into it.
Yes.
Cyberlorian gave a super chat a little while ago. Thanks, dude. This was around having the differ meeting and whatnot. He says he got it scheduled. It's a touch base. Thanks for all the advice, dude. I can't wait, dude. I can't wait to play the wrecking ball sound effect. Come back and share that with us.
If you want to do some mock interviews, man, reach out. I do it for free. I will make time for you, especially if you got a core, like, critical interview that you're going to be crushing soon. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, that's going to be the next thing, to go real quick. If you have managers who report to you, again, that's not half this audience, but force them to do an interview with you. Like, I've scheduled them and had them interview me just so they can practice the interview, and I can give them critiques. And it also benefits me because I get to see questions that they're asking when I'm not in there. And it also makes me think critically about how I would interview again. Because for those who know, I interviewed over the summer. I've changed roles. But if you're not actively interviewing is tough. So schedule a mock interview periodically, even if you don't have a leader underneath you, but definitely to train your leaders. Have them practice interviewing with an employee who can honestly give them feedback, because I'm not going to go ask the candidate, how well did I interview you? What did you think about my interviewing skills?
I had someone reach out recently and go, I saw you on Simply Cyber, and I remember our interview because it was the wildest interview I've ever had, because I don't ask any questions that you can chat GPT. It's like you wake up and it's a zombie apocalypse. What do you do first? And I want to know how your mind thinks. But yeah, that's fun.
That's awesome. Also, shout out to Simply Cyber. Like, that's kind of fun.
Oh yeah, totally.
I love it. Straw Hat Sack. Last 2 weeks, I was looking for bugs on HackerOne. Submitted 4 reports, all dupes. Triage team says already disclosed, but no public reports, and they haven't fixed the issues either.
Welcome, brother.
Yeah,
that's the life of a bug hunter.
Yep, exactly. Soap Flavor said CV should be everything. Do you mean resume? Yeah, so CV, resume, I think those are interchangeable. I'm scanning for questions right now. We've got, actually, you know what? We've got 5 minutes until the end of the stream. Daniel Lowry, IRL, episode 81. If you want to continue the party in 4 minutes. But I always loved, these panelists take time out of their day to come share this knowledge, behind no paywall, absolutely free. So I love giving them an opportunity to kind of pump their own stock, share their own things here at the end. And plus, like, they're great people. You probably want to get more of them. So let's go around the horn. Robert, what do you got? What do you want to share?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to grow my YouTube a little bit. So Bowtie Security Guy on YouTube, if you could subscribe, that would be awesome. If you need a mentor, feel free to reach out. I don't charge for it. If you need help with your LinkedIn, you need help with your resume, feel free to message me. I say it every time. There's hundreds of people here, and maybe 1 or 2 people take me up on it. You have the ability to reach out to, I think all of us are willing to kind of chat with you and kind of help out. So, like, don't be a stranger. Feel free to reach out. But Bowtie Security Guy, all one word.
Awesome. Thank you. Fleetus, what do you got, buddy?
Nothing drastic. Just to Robert's point, continue to echo it. Find someone to reach out to. Have a mentor. Find a mentor. I don't care what type of mentor. If it's a technical mentor, if it's someone who can help you with soft skills, if it's someone who can just be a life coach. No matter where you're at in your career, we talked about it numerous times today. Burnout is real. It is easy to get defeated in this industry. It is easy to forget why you're doing this. And without having a buddy, a mentor, a coach, your partner who can just calm you and periodically be someone just to level set your head that it's okay to fail. Imposter syndrome is real. All of us on this call have had it and will continue to have it in our career. So just know that you're not alone. To Robert's point, my YouTube channel is slowly grabbing traction again. I've been a little while on it. If you're in the Charlotte area, let me know. We have a DEF CON chapter I just spoke at. We just did the ISSA chapter. I'm very active in the Charlotte community of the Carolinas, so just let me know if you're ever here. I'll be glad to grab coffee, answer questions, and my LinkedIn are open, or you can find me on the Simply Cyber Discord if you have questions, comments, or unsolicited testimonies. So.
There we go. And I'm showing Fleetus's YouTube channel right here. I'll drop a link to that, as well as Bowtie Security Guy. One second. Let me just, I should have shown it. Bowtiesecurityguy.com as well. James, what would you like to share while this thing loads?
Yesterday at Elevate IT was fantastic. I had a couple folks come out and find me actually as I was walking through the expo. And as I was getting on the elevator, but yeah, basically saying, I've seen you on Simply Cyber and everything else. So shout out to Tarika and Florina who found me, took some pictures. I will be at Osmosis Con next week with Dennis Keefe for the first half of the week, and then got to hustle back home and then fly off to Minnesota for SecretCon. So I'll be presenting there, doing an agentic AI talk regarding social engineering. So if you find me, I got stickers. You know, I spotted James McQuiggan at 35,000 feet, and I've got my other sticker as well. Always love to give them out to folks. So if you're going to be there, come say hi. And always a good time hanging out with all of you guys. Have that person. I agree, Fleetus and Kathy Chambers talked about it. Her and Daniel Lowry were talking about it earlier this week on her show. But always have that person you can talk to, mentor, multiple mentors. I have multiple mentors. I have multiple mentees, people that I can talk to all over the place with any particular topic. So very cool. So thanks again, Jerry.
Of course. I love it. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time. Shout out to Wade Wells, who had to drop a little earlier. Guys, I hope you got value from the show, the Cyber Career Hotline, from the Daily Cyber Threat Brief. I hope you can join us next week. Bring a friend. We're always looking to expand the community. If you'd like to keep the party going because you don't want to admit that it's Friday and you got to get to work and you want to just keep on partying like Weezer, Cybercast IRL, Daniel Lowry's about to go live here any minute. Go ahead. I've pinned the link in the chat. If you'd like to go raid, I always like to go over there for a minute and kind of kick things off. He'll do that monster pour, and we'll have a good time together. For Fleetus, Robert, James, Wade, and myself, I want to say thank you very much. Y'all have a great weekend. And until next time, stay secure.